Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a discussion video. And today I want to talk about reviewer bias and things that influence it and things that maybe I look for and then some things that you would want to look for. Or let me pose it this way. I'd like to ask you guys a question. What are the things that kind of put you off, that make you say, whoa, I'm not sure if this guy's giving me kind of the straight goods on this product? All right. The other thing I'd love to hear is if you're a creator, if you're a reviewer yourself, what are things that you do? What are steps that you take to kind of maintain your credibility? Okay, let me ask one more question in starting, and that is, I'm thinking of signing up with a Patreon account associated with this channel and using that for some stuff, that essentially using it to create content. So there'd be probably some knives that I would pick up, some different products that maybe you guys are interested, and especially one of the things that I think it would do is allow me to respond a little better to some of your requests. For example, I've had multiple people ask me about the Sage series of knives. They're just too small for me, so I'm not really interested in spending my money on that. But I would be, if I had Patreon, if I had some funds in Patreon, I would use those funds to pick up things that maybe you guys would appreciate, but for me are not at the top of my need to buy this list. All right, anyway, let me know your thoughts on that as well. Now let me get into reviewer biases, what I think about it, and what I do to kind of remove myself from that. Okay, so here's my take on my own biases. I know that I have them, all right, and I just try to be honest and upfront about them. So features of knives, you guys know that if a knife is really big, if it's got a choil, if it's got a hollow grind, those are all things that I really like. Okay, other reviewers other people, and maybe some of you viewers won't be that into some of those features, but I really am. By the way, this is a Stedman ZKC, not reviewed. Probably in the next few weeks, though, I'll get a review going on this. Something like the Recon 1. You guys know I like the Recon 1. I like it because of the large size, I like it because of the handle, and I like it, again, because I can, if I want to, choke up on this. That's one of the things I look for. A knife, here's another great knife that will be coming up for review. But again, now this knife doesn't have that front choil, but man, it's big and it's beautiful. I love the grind lines, and I love that this knife is a little different. So again, my way of handling biases is to tell you, hey, this knife has got some stuff that I really like, and that's going to influence me in a positive way. Okay, what about if a knife is given to you? I had that question about this knife when I reviewed it. This is the Jettison. This is a not bad knife. Okay, it's not CRKT's best effort ever, and I said it was a little too, the ergonomics are just a little wanting on this one, but I love the blade shape and I love that hollow grind, and you guys know I like hollow grinds. So again, what I try to do in terms of feature bias is just tell you what's going on. Another way I would tell you is this knife has been sent to me from GearBest for review, and they've essentially, the request would be, hey, you review this, but you tell people where you got it and that it was a good price. And I'm willing to do that. They did not ask me to modify my opinion of the product itself, and as long as they don't ask that, I feel like everything is okay about that. In fact, in some ways, receiving a product for free is better, because when you buy something, you're emotionally invested in that. You know, it's going to be hard for me and anybody to admit that, hey, I spent whatever I spent. You know, let's say, a typical cold steel, one of the better quality ones is around $100. Well, do I want to admit that the thing I just spent $100 on was kind of a piece of junk? Not really. And neither do you. Okay, so whether you bought it or gave it to you for free, there's still a bias there. Okay, so that, I know a lot of people will ask, and I pointed out with this knife before, hey, did you get this for free? Well, whether I did or didn't, there's a bias either way. The fact that I paid for it still creates a bias. Okay, because I don't want to admit that I kind of fell for the hype, or that I bought something that was really not that great. That's something that we need to be honest about and upfront about. And I think that is going to affect, all right, what's happening here. How much you paid for it. If you overpaid for it, again, that's going to impact even more maybe. If it's your product, Hey, there are a bunch of, I watched some Worksharp videos recently, and some of them were from Worksharp. Well, you can expect Worksharp to have fairly positive discussion about their own product. When Prepared Mind 101 did the Jessica X, okay, it's his product. Of course he's going to like it. And if I was given the opportunity to, design a knife and have someone make it for me with all the stuff that I want and like, sure, I would imagine I would like that knife an awful lot. So that's going to create some bias as well. Good or bad experiences. I can tell you that I have had a lot of saws that had blade play, and it drives me crazy. And so, yeah, I'm hesitant to buy a saw at all. If I do, I'd be more likely to get it off the secondary market so that I could at least say to the person selling it to me, hey, what's the story on this? Is there up and down blade play? And so maybe you're out there and you're a reviewer or even a customer and you've had bad experiences with Spyderco or Benchmade or Cold Steel or whoever, Strider, that's going to impact. Maybe you just cannot stand Lynn Thompson, and so when you do a Cold Steel review, that is going to bias your opinion of Cold Steel. How could it not? All right. And so again, what I would try to do is, if it was me, is just be honest about that. All right. Now, another dimension here is when a reviewer is getting paid. Okay. Now, I'm not paid to do any of the reviews, although if you're out there and you want to pay me, sure, go ahead. I'm happy to take your money to do a review. Although what I'm not happy to do is change my opinion of the product based on that. Okay, so it's going to be a review and that's it. And there are YouTubers out there who likely are paid for their reviews, especially some of the super huge channels. There's a huge benefit in having some of those giant channels say something good about your product. And again, I know that a lot of those channels have rules about how that works. And so they'll say, yeah, if I reserve the right to say this is a piece of junk, or they may look at it up front and say, yeah, if I don't like it, forget it. I'm just not going to review it at all. And by the way, while we're kind of talking about that, you need to realize that most reviewers are buying this stuff themselves. So I don't know about you, but I don't buy a lot of stuff that I don't like. Okay, if I don't like it, I'm not going to buy it, which means for every reviewer that's out there, if they are reviewing something that they've bought, they probably liked it up front. They're probably, so you're going to see a lot of positive reviews out there. Okay, and so maybe what's telling about stuff that's out there is if you don't see any reviews at all about it, maybe that should tell you something, okay? Of course, there are going to be things that I care about that you don't, right? Maybe and I've said before, I think some of the stuff that Cold Steel has done is ridiculous, right? Now, maybe you don't care at all. To continue picking on Cold Steel for a second, if you care deeply about lock strength, and that's the most important consideration for you in buying a knife, well, my goodness, you're not going to find anything better than the Triad lock. And so anything that I looked at, and I could, you could almost pick up any knife and make part of your review. Well, it's a pretty good lock, but it's not as strong as it could be. Well, and the reality to that is no locking knife is as strong as it could be because you could have just bought a fixed blade. Okay? So there are going to be things that I care about more than you do. Blade steel, right? Are you kind of a steel snob, or are you like, yeah, whatever it is, as long as it holds an passable edge and I'm not getting frustrated by it becoming dull so fast, or it's chipping all the time. In some ways, this is where I am. I'm pretty open-minded about the blade steels that I use as long as they're not really bad, okay? And so there you go, guys. Those are all things that I think ought to be considered. They're things that I consider when I'm making a video, and they're things that I think you ought to consider when you're watching. One of the things that I will say you can pretty well do across the board is you can know the specs. Pretty much every reviewer gives you an honest numbers, okay? Most reviewers are going to give you honest cutting performance. Most reviewers are going to give you honest, fit and finish details. So some of the things, that stuff's pretty hard to hide. If I hold this blade up and I say, hey, let's check the blade play, this one has a little bit of up and down play, and you can probably see it on camera. So how am I can't move it and then go, even though you see the knife moving, there's no blade play. Well, right away, okay? So some of that stuff is by necessity pretty reliable, okay? So there you go, guys. Again, let me hear in the comments below how you assess a reviewer's integrity and how you kind of feel out whether or not this is someone who can be trusted or not. And overall, I think the recommendation from this is to know that all reviewers have biases, and what you're going to want to do is find the reviewers that share the same biases as you, and then you kind of know that you're probably going to like a lot of the stuff that they like. All right, hope you enjoyed the video, and we will talk to you soon.